Today on episode number 386 of the School of Podcasting's morning announcements, which you can find over there at schoolofpodcasting.com/386, we have a phenomenal Because of My Podcast story where somebody gets their dream job. We're going to talk about the power of podcasting. You would think something like Time Magazine or CNN would get you a lot of exposure, not like a podcast. We're actually going to hear a holy crap Batman moment in a podcast, and that's the kind of content that you need to make. And do you remember the Three Bears story, right? One porridge was too hot, one was too cold, and one was just right. We're going to talk about a podcast launch today and making sure you don't get the cart ahead of the horse. Hit it, ladies.
The School of Podcasting with Dave Jackson.
Podcasting since 2005. I am your personal podcast coach, Dave Jackson, thanking you so very, very much for tuning in. If you're new to the show, this is where we talk about every single part of podcasting, from planning to recording to promoting to exporting and all points in between, because everything you need, quit looking. It's in one place, schoolofpodcasting.com. I come along, I bring my years and years and years of technical training to the microphone. I flatten out the learning curve in a jargon-free zone. We let you know that you're never alone when it comes to launching your successful podcast. So whether you're a person that wants to start a podcast to promote their business, maybe you want to do what I call a serious hobby, right? You want to do a hobby as a podcast, maybe later hope it turns into something more, but you want to do it right. You are in the right spot. And we always like to start off the show with some podcast success. And I call these Because of My Podcast stories. And if you have one, I would love to hear from you. Just go out to schoolofpodcasting.com/contact. There's actually a link right there. If you have a microphone plugged in, you can just leave it right there. You can record it. You can email it to me. Again, just go out to schoolofpodcasting.com/contact. But Dustin Hartzler has been on this show before. He's from yourwebsiteengineer.com. And he actually, he's got some news. So, Dustin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
And I understand you've had some interesting news over there, so I thought I would bring you on the show to share.
Yeah, definitely. Some crazy things have happened over here at the Your Website Engineer headquarters. It's something that I never thought would really happen and never really thought about. But I've actually been hired by a larger company that does WordPress things. You might have heard of them, called Automatic. It's actually the founding company of WordPress.com and, all of the different things that they have going on there. But now I'm a full-time employee there, and I'm doing some amazing things, and it's just, it blows my mind. I've actually been there. Today's my fourth official full day, but it's absolutely crazy, and it is probably one of the best decisions I've made.
Well, there you go. And the fact that it's day 4 means you like it.
Yes.
Because you went back.
Right. Well, it's day 4 of officialness, but I've actually been working there for about the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, how did that come about?
The long story goes that I went to the West Coast this past summer, and we were out, and I have a good friend that works at Apple, and I'm like, I want to go see Apple headquarters. And then long story short, though, we thought about what if we moved, what would our life look like if we moved and I worked for Apple? And then I was like, that's way too much. And it didn't allow me to continue to do one of my things that I was passionate about, which is WordPress. And so we didn't want to move across the country. I didn't want to quit what I'm doing with WordPress. And then I kind of dismissed it, kind of forgot about looking for another job. I was just continuing to what I was doing. And then one of the podcasts that I was listening to was interviewing somebody that works at Automatic, an automatician, if you will. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. That would be something that would be interesting to me. And I went to their Work With Us page and found out, and I was like, there is a position that is almost perfectly designed for me. I'm like, why not try to apply? And so I applied, and then it was about a 4-week process from the time that I applied to the time that I started a trial period. And then each person actually works 4 to 6 weeks in a trial role in a contractor type basis until they either get let go or get a full-time position. And so that's what I've been doing the last few weeks. It's been very hard to keep everything really quiet because I didn't want to say that I'm doing this trial, and then in case I didn't get it, I didn't want a lot of people to know. So, but now it's official. I've been there for the 4 days, like I said, and so I've just been really telling anyone.
Very cool. Now, the answer to this could be very easily be no. So if it's no, just say no. But do you think your podcast had anything to do with this, or was this all strictly based on your coding skills?
No, it has nothing to do with my coding skills whatsoever. I do feel that it is heavily dependent on my podcast. And so what I ended up doing was the role that I'm in, or my position, is actually called happiness engineer. So I'm on the support team, and we find bugs, we fix things, we add documentation. We just help our users do different things and help them do what they want to accomplish on the web. And then that's like the perfect role for me, because when I got started, I love answering people's questions. I love when people email me and I can figure out a solution and email them back, but I cannot get paid for answering email. As hard as I've tried, I cannot provide email support for at $2 a response. Otherwise, I'd be a millionaire. I mean, so it has nothing to do with that. But what I ended up doing was, like, one of the key roles, or one of the bullet points in the job description said, are you able to communicate technical things or technical details in an easy to understand manner? And I'm like, yes, like that's what I did. And then I pointed, as part of my cover letter, I ended up pointing them to my my iTunes page with all my ratings and reviews, and said, these 100 people have said that exact same thing. So don't take it from me. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think they listened to a couple episodes, the person that interviewed me. So I know, because she's referenced that, different things from my podcast. And so I think it was a very big part in just showcasing the skills that I have, that I can be extremely technical, but then I can be extremely, easy when it comes to communicating to other people.
Very cool. Yeah. To me, I've always said it's kind of an audio business card. It's a way to just leave your brand out there, and the fact that people can access it 24/7. The other thing I just wanted to say, great job on, speaking of technical things that you've broken down, was your webinar on the Yoast plugin. I've only made it about like halfway through, but man, was that needed, and man, did you do a good job.
Yeah, thanks. That's one of my favorite things, just to try to take a difficult subject. Like the Yoast plugin is a powerful plugin. It can do some amazing things. And there's like 9 gazillion check boxes. And you're like, I don't know which ones to check. Like, how do you do it? And so I just wanted to kind of lay it out there. Like, this is the way that I use it. This is what some of these other things mean. And just give away free information. That's what I love to do. And that's another special part with working at Automatic. Like, there is so many pieces of documentation that heavily need updated, and they need videos, and they need stuff like that. And that's something that I can totally work on. And that's just another one of my passions. And I think too, with the podcast, with my webinars, all these different things will really showcase my enthusiasm and my, how excited I am about WordPress, or, about the things that I'm passionate about. And so I think that really helped as well, just to kind of the podcast has done so many things. I think because also it's been going for 3 years now. Hard to believe that I've been podcasting about WordPress, new stuff, for 3 years. But I think that too had a big part in it, because they could see that, hey, this isn't some guy that just found out about WordPress. He's been using it for 3 days and then he applies for a job. Like, I had a proven track record of creating content for the last 3 years.
There you go. Another example of just being seen as an expert. That's
exactly
what a podcast can help with. Very cool. Well, again, your website is yourwebsiteengineer.com, and we've got a lot of free content over there. Anything that's not free that you would like to pimp at the moment?
No, not really. That is actually one of the things with working with Automatic. Everything that I do giving back to the WordPress community has to be free. And so that is one of the small downsides of actually, accepting a job with them. But the benefits far outweigh the $10 whatever that I would buy. So I'm still in the process of working in. I did have some premium content. I'm trying to build that into a free type area and just give everything away, because now I don't have to worry about compensation for anything. Like, I'm full salaried at Automatic. So everything that I do from here on out is going to be just my love and passion for WordPress, and just me giving back. Because in theory, like, I'm not the best coder when it comes to contributing to WordPress core or contributing to other plugins and doing that sort of thing. But my best feature that I can give to other people is education. So that's where I'm going to go. And that's where things are going to be happening on yourwebsiteengineer.com.
Very cool. Well, hey, I thank you. I know especially now, look, we're interrupting day 5. And so I thank you taking the time out of your day to share your story with you. And congrats. I can only imagine, knowing how passionate you are about WordPress, how cool it has to be working for Automatic. That's very, very cool. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And I wish you best of luck going forward.
All right. Yeah, thank you. It's been a blast, and I'm so excited. And I'm just going to do what I can to make WordPress better for every user out there.
And there you go. Very cool story, huh? Now, if you're new to the whole WordPress talk, I'll give you a little story, all right? When I was from junior high to the time I graduated high school, so basically 6 years, every time Ted Nugent came to town, I saw him and bought every single T-shirt available.
You know what I like. You know what I like.
In fact, my senior year of high school, I wore a Ted Nugent T-shirt, a different one. Okay, let's not get gross. I wore a different Ted Nugent T-shirt out of my stable of shirts every single day my senior year. Now, that would be like me doing a Ted Nugent podcast and then getting hired by Ted Nugent. That is how cool that is. I do have a quick bit of news. If you are listening to this today, it is released, which is Monday, December 16th, 2013. Tonight at 6 o'clock, myself and Rob Walsh from Libsyn, he's the VP of Podcasters Relations. We're going to go over Libsyn stats, A to Z, top to bottom, soup to nuts. What does that even mean, soup to nuts? I don't understand that one at all. But at any rate, we're going to go over them. So if you have any questions about them, come on out. I'm going to have this set up at schoolofpodcasting.com/live, and you can watch it. It's going to be a Google Hangout. So if you're listening to this now, put it on your calendar, and I will see you tonight.
Reaching a global audience through time-shifted conversations. This is the power of podcasting.
Oh, yeah, rolling that jingle out. Absolutely. Let's talk a little power of podcasting. I was on the Podcasters Roundtable. You got to go listen to this episode, podcastersroundtable.com/22. Tweet about it. Tell your friends. You got to listen to this one. Got to watch it. It's on YouTube. It's on that particular website. And this is where myself, Steve Stewart from Money Plan SOS, and he's also from YesYouCanPodcast2.com. He's got a great blog about podcasting. Daniel J. Lewis from the AudacityToPodcast.com, and Ray Ortega from PodcastersStudio.com. And John Lee Dumas, who, if you haven't heard of John Lee Dumas, are you living under a rock? The guy made $94,000 last month with his podcast. And we kind of, we grilled him. And we basically wanted to show people the work, the planning, and the dedication that it takes to make that kind of money. And John was just spewing gold. We'll talk about that in the future, but since we're talking power of podcasting, you got to listen to this clip. We've always talked about how you can have influence with your audience and just build your own community. Listen to this insight that John shared.
Like, I just had Jay Salmon on my show, and this guy's made his rounds, like NBC, CNBC. He does he's been interviewed in Time magazine and all these different things, and he literally is like so active on Twitter and all these different areas. And then he came on Entrepreneur on Fire, and he gave a great interview. And then, the interview went live, XYZ. He wrote me back this really long email saying that, John, I've been on all of those major news stations. I have been in all the major magazines, and I have never, ever seen anything close to the engagement that I received after being on your podcast. It blew me away. It's obviously the new medium. And I just can't say enough about it. So that just speaks to podcasting in general. That, I mean, these old medias, we're the new media, but the old media is just not super engaging. And like for me, for instance, like when I was featured in Time magazine, it was quite an honor to see Entrepreneur on Fire in print in actual Time magazine. But that really did not move the needle. I got a couple calls from a few sponsors that I would never consider having on the show, but literally being on Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast or Michael Stelzner's social media marketing podcast, that moves the needle. And that's incredible to see the difference between being in the only, weekly or weekly magazine, Time magazine, that's incredibly highly respected, did nothing. Whereas being on somebody's podcast, can just be a game changer.
There you go. Booyah, baby. The power of podcasting. Time magazine didn't move the needle. Guys on CNN didn't move the needle. Came on a podcast, needle broke, it moved so much. That is very cool stuff. Because I always like to spotlight when I'm interviewed on another podcast. I've got 2 clips today, and so I want to play another clip from that episode, and there are like 50 I could have picked from. It's chock full of information. podcastersroundtable.com/22. Here's another clip from that show.
So we're reaching out to you. I just actually locked down FreshBooks for all of 2014, which is a brand new sponsor, and I'm the first.
Yeah, let me set this up. This is where John is talking about his sponsors. Again, the guy made $94,000. So he's sharing how he got sponsors and how he tracks the return on investment and things like that. So John starts talking about FreshBooks. This is a brand new sponsor that he got. So let's listen to this now.
FreshBooks for all of 2014, which is a brand new sponsor, and I'm the first podcast that they're actually going with. And they reached out to me and said, we want to get into the podcast game. And I said, hey, FreshBooks makes a ton of sense for entrepreneurs on a lot of levels. Let's talk. We came up with numbers that worked. And they're paying $688 per episode. For 2014, numbers that, again, are going to be revisited at the end of Q2.
Dude, thanks. I'm going to keep interrupting. It's what we do here at Roundtable. First of all, super thumbs up for he just spit out the number. Guys, no one talks about numbers, right? I mean, this is like the guarded secret in podcasting, and I get it. Each sponsorship is, like John's talking about, it's custom tailored. You got to work it out with you and the sponsor. So, can I even talk about, he just spit it out, podcasters, they're paying $688 per episode. I kind of got the chills. Are you guys, as the rest of the roundtable, super stoked to hear that money's coming into podcasting? I mean, that's got to be exciting.
Absolutely. So what you just heard there was what I call a holy crap moment, which is a strange phrase when you think about it, holy crap. But anyway, when I talk about great content, that was a live one. You just heard Ray Ortega go, holy crap, in his head because he couldn't believe what he just heard. And guess what? We're all going around saying, have you gone to podcastersroundtable.com/22 to listen to that? Because that's just one. That's just one instance of the information, the truly behind the scenes of what it's like to make $94,000 with your podcast in a month. Now, that's not going to be the norm, and that's what we talk about. And we peel back the planning, the dedication, the commitment, and the fact that guy heard a lot of no's coming out of the box. And so when I talk about wow content, that's what I try to do here. I try to have you guys, when you leave this particular show, I want you to go tell your friends and say, hey, did you hear what Dave was talking about on the School of Podcasting? You got to check it out, schoolofpodcasting.com. That is wow entertainment. And when you want to talk about how to grow your audience from hundreds to thousands, that right there is step number one. There's a glorious expression in the music business about all the tricks you can do in the studio, right? All the things you can do with auto-tune and things like that. You really can't polish a turd. And that, my friends, is not a turd. Boy, how did I get into this mode? But at any rate, here you can see, again, I'm getting all pumped up about this. So schoolofpodcasting.com/22. Speaking of getting pumped up, over at betterdave.com, my last episode, I was talking about Thanksgiving.
Live from the basement, it's Building a Better Dave. Here's your host, Dave Jackson.
Pretty soon, Thanksgiving is going to be, okay, we have turkey in the drive-thru. And Americans would look horrible on TV because we're just crazy. Give me that iPod. It's yellow. Man, we're all just a bunch of narcissists, he said, talking to the microphone about a podcast about himself. And then not like my boobs, because let's face it, I have boobs. I got a good solid A cup going on here. Like, I was on the treadmill for an hour, came home, my wife had made these scrumptious oatmeal chocolate chip cookies, and I was like, oh, you suck. You evil, evil woman. They had this whole big thing with the Sound of Music. I don't know if you heard about it. It was live on NBC. They only told you about every 6 seconds. We got an antenna, and we've been watching free TV. Good God, is it horrible.
Check us out at betterdave.com.
All right, I've got another clip here. I was interviewed. Anytime you interview me on your show, I will play a clip here. And I was on the 200 Churches podcast. And if you've never heard that show, it's actually, I really, really enjoy that show. In fact, he said, pulling it up live, you should have had this ready for you, silly Dave. But check out their intro. It's a good example of an intro that explains exactly what you're getting into. Let me play a little bit of this for you. And you can dance if you want. Come on. This is the 200 Churches podcast, episode 48. You know, how about if we listen to it on the real speed? That's because I was searching for my part. Isn't it fun doing these live? Okay, it's a little harder to dance to this version, but that's all right.
This is the 200 Churches podcast, episode 48.
I walk away from your podcast going, wow, that was really cool. I didn't know that. Or, hey, there are other people just like me in the same boat. I'm not alone, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the cool part of it. But you're also giving me ideas and thoughts, and I'm hearing that Joe Schmo did this, or I got to go buy that guy's book because that might give me some more insight. So I rarely walk away from your podcast going, well, that's 45 minutes I can't get back in my life.
This is the 200 Churches podcast, created to encourage and inspire pastors of small churches. Now, here are two guys who lead and pastor in a 200 church and strive to provide information and encouragement to make you smile, think, and be challenged. The Laurel and Hardy of Ministry podcast, Jeff and Johnny.
This is the 200 Churches.
All right, so there you go. So I like that intro. Less than a minute, inspire and educate other people so they're reaching out to their people that are, in the same boat they are, smaller churches, and they gave a little teaser clip of me. Now, what I was doing in that clip was explaining why I like their podcast. They always make me think. They give me ideas. They give me insights into products that I might want to buy. And let me play you the clip of me now, another clip of me. And this is me explaining a little behind the scenes here. A few years ago, I was on track to be a pastor of a small church. And this story is going to help explain why I still am very involved with God and just not that church. And you can find my spiritual side at feedingmyfaith.com. I've played clips for that in the past. But I'll explain how this pertains to podcasting. So don't think this is just Dave being preachy. It is an interesting story. If you're looking for a way to promote your podcast, you might want to think about this. And I think the one that I finally went, I need to move on, is I said, look, we just need to find people who are awake. Let's start there. Who's awake on Sunday? and we have a Walmart literally 3 blocks from the church. And I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have somebody go down with my little flip camera. I'm going to have a big sign that says free hugs. And I'm going to have a brochure, no hard sell, that just says, by the way, here's a map to the church. Go down there, turn right. We're the 3rd building on the right-hand side. And the idea was to film it. And if something cool happens, we'll throw it on YouTube and just stand there with a sign that says free hugs. When somebody comes up and says, hey, I'll take a free hug, and you give them a very, politically correct free hug. And when they go, okay, what's the catch? You go, if you want one of these, we give them out every Sunday. They're right down there, Community Baptist Church. And, thank you so much. Here's a map. And if you have any questions, church starts in about an hour. So we'll see you there. And that was it. No hard sale. No, brother, are you saved? Just, hey, let's shake your hand. And we're a little crazy because we do stuff like free hugs. And when I threw that idea out, the people that, basically okayed idea said, yeah, you might get sued. And I said, okay, so let's go with that. Let's say somebody says I touched them inappropriately and they throw me in jail. I said, let's just go with that. You call every single TV show, radio station, and you tell them the people down the street are crazy. They're giving out free hugs. I said, I'll take the publicity. I'll take the rap, and the fear just overtook them that something might go wrong. I go, wait, we're filming it. We've got proof that I was okay. They just couldn't do it. Wow. So I think fear has a lot to do with, in some cases, and I understand it because we live in a society that's so happy. But again, I could have sworn it says there in Matthew that God has our back. And that doesn't mean jump off of a building and let God catch you. Let's not throw out common sense.
Yeah, free hugs don't seem to be something that people should get too litigious about. But
right,
that's very interesting. The fear gripped small churches. I smell an upcoming blog post and podcast just on that topic alone.
So there you go. And really, that's one of the things you can do with your podcast. Find out what's going on in your community. Find out the things that they need help with, and then come up with a solution. Come up with a resource. Come up with inspiration. Come up with something to move them in one way or another. And that's what I was talking about on their show. To play a more podcasting-related clip, let me play this one.
And then, I see a guy like you who just has passion for podcasting, and passion to share with other people how to do what you love to do. And you're making some money at it, but you're not buying new homes and buying new yachts and buying new cars with the money you're making. But it seems like you're having the time of your life.
And I do. It's the best of both worlds, because I love the stuff I'm doing during the day and the fact that I get to meet great people like you and everybody else online. And last night I was talking to a guy in Australia, so it's a global thing, which is kind of wild that he sounds like he's right next door, and he's on the other side of the planet. So that's the beauty of podcasting. Part of it is there's almost no place on the planet that I can't talk to somebody and connect with them. So there you go. And that's it. I always say it's reaching a global audience. It is amazing. So I want to talk a couple of things here as we get a little more philosophical here. And number one is we have two extremes here. And one is the fear of speaking in public, the fear of starting a podcast, and what happens if it goes horrible. Well, I've done that. I've done it a couple times. The Healing Our Marriage podcast started out great. Well, I don't know if it was great, but we're getting, thousands of downloads. My wife gets sick, and then she decides, in a nutshell, that podcasting was not for her. Well, that was kind of embarrassing, because I really promoted the heck out of that show, and 6 episodes in, it died. And it's probably not coming back at this point, which is sad, because I had other things to say, but I'll get into that someday, why that show's not coming back, but that's not the time, place here. So there is that fear that you're going to end up with egg on your face. And I heard this, and as a teacher, we have these cute little bumper sticker kind of sayings that come along, and you go, oh, that's a good one. That one's going on the bumper sticker. And that is the word that it's you take the word fail, you take the letters, and you come up with something. What is that called? I don't remember. But instead of fail, it's first attempt in learning. I might have heard this on Entrepreneur on Fire. And, when you go and you try something new and, I don't know, it just doesn't work, don't you have a built-in excuse that, well, it was the first time I did it? So on one hand, there's part of me that goes, look at the influence you can have. Look at the opportunities that are being opened by your podcast. It's an audio business card that people can go and connect with you and go, hey, I think I kind of like this guy. That's part of me that's going, go, come on, podcast, okay? Now, there's the other side of me that I'm starting to see a trend. And I wrote a blog post at davidjackson.org called Putting the Cart Ahead of the Horse. And I'm seeing things where people are skipping the planning process. They're skipping the behind the scenes. They're skipping understanding the process. And I had somebody this week that hired me to troubleshoot their RSS feed, which is basically like saying, hey, I'm a radio station. My signal isn't going anywhere. My frequency isn't getting broadcasted anywhere. Can you tell why? And I would go and look at their transmitter. Well, when I looked at their transmitter, it would have been like me going, nobody's spinning records. The DJs left. They had no episodes actually published. They had recorded episodes, but they didn't record any. And then it turns out that the episodes they had put out, they hadn't properly added ID3 tags, and they were so gung-ho on making content, and God bless them for that. That's the awesome thing. But you want to do it right. And that's what I talk about. Yeah, you might want to do this as a hobby, but it's a serious hobby. And that's what I'm about, making sure you do it right, making sure you don't end up with egg on your face. I had somebody else who contacted me, and they had spent thousands I'm not exaggerating, thousands of dollars on equipment. And they had bought the best WordPress plugins and the best theme, and they were going to have this great website. And I was like, great. And I had to help one little thing on their website to get that ready. I said, all we need now is your content. And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of working on that. And I was like, ooh. And here again, the cart is before the horse. And I'm sure, at least I think, I'm not sure, I'm guessing here, that when that happens, it is a case of, oh my gosh, this looks so cool, I got to do it. And then you get there and you're like, oh, I forgot to figure out what I was going to podcast about. We were talking about this on Saturday on the Ask the Podcast Coach show. That's my live show. So if you can't afford the School of Podcasting and you want some free podcast consulting, every Saturday, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, go to schoolofpodcasting.com/live. You can call in. It's 888-563-3228. You'll get right on the air most of the time. And we were talking about this, the cart before the horse syndrome, and the fact that if you have to ask yourself, yeah, I want to start a podcast, I'm just not sure about what, then you need to put that, rein in the horse a little bit. I'm happy that you're excited. I'm happy that you see the potential and the opportunities and the way that you can actually just meet people like yourself. Because I don't know about you, I don't want to be alone. It'd be, friends are priceless. And so you see that, and that's great. But this is where I always say, we talk about everything podcasting, and the first thing I always say is planning, because that's the key. You want to sharpen that axe before you go cutting down that tree. I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to break your back. I want you to do it right. And sometimes that means you got to slow down a little bit. And here's the thing that we do sometimes that I don't understand. Now, I almost did this myself. I want to take my podcast, Feeding My Faith, and I'm going to either make it 5 days a week or 7 days a week, or maybe not, because I want to test this Lee Dumas effect. If you're not a regular listener to the show, you know I love to test everything. I got my fingers in all sorts of pies. And so I started recording a bunch of shows in advance. I wanted to have 30 shows in advance. I wanted to turn this on January 1st, start having at least 5 days a week. And I got to tell you that right now, I think I have 6 shows. And as I record this, it's the 14th. That gives me 16 days to record basically 27 shows. Because I want to have because as those are going out, I can start recording the next 30. And I'd like to have like 40 or 50. And I'm starting to panic, and I'm starting to go, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to go in. And I don't want to start running them out one a day if I've only got 8 ready, because I know in a week I'm out of stuff, and then I'm going to screw up my schedule. And that's one of the worst things you can do, is start off with a schedule and then just drop off. And so a little voice came in my head and said, well, what if you postpone changing your schedule? Instead of doing this January 1st, why not do it February 1st and just continue to do your weekly, bi-weekly schedule now? And I went, And that was a logical thought. What happens when we get our cart before the horse is when we start thinking emotional. And that's not to say emotions are bad. Emotions are awesome. If it wasn't for emotions, we wouldn't do half the things we do. We probably wouldn't be married if we didn't have emotions, right? Because that's pretty scary to ask that girl out and get her phone number and all the points in between. That's kind of spooky, but we love the way it makes us feel. Feelings are awesome. But there is that logical time that we occasionally have to go, this isn't going to be the end of the world. Yes, I want to do this on January 1st, but what's the worst thing that's going to happen if I don't? I'll keep my same size of my podcast. Life will go on. The sun will rise and the moon will set. Maybe I can wait. So now with that, are you ready? So we're hitting all the spectrums here. And this is where launching a successful podcast is a bit of a juggling act. You don't want to go purely emotional and get the cart before the horse. You do want to do some planning. You do want to some thinking out. But if you go too far that way, then you never release your podcast because it's just not exactly right. I want to have 50 shows in the can. Well, can you launch it with 40 shows in the can? Because this would be a good time. It ties in with something, maybe. Do it. Pull the trigger. There is a time when you have to say pull the trigger, and there is a time when you got to say, hey, let's hold on a little bit. And that's where when I say, podcasting since 2005, well, I've done it. I've been there, and I've made the mistakes for you in many cases. And I can say I'd hold off on that. That's something to think about. And I think next week, I'm going to talk about sharpening your axe a little more. I know I have some thoughts in my head about that. And also, coming up later in the month, now, hopefully you have yours in. Your homework assignment for December, and I realize some of you guys don't listen every week. Maybe you missed your homework assignment. And I want to talk to you about this. And that homework is to pick one podcast. You can only listen to one. So whatever, it's a government takedown. They've outlawed podcasts. You can only listen to one. Which one is your ultimate favorite podcast to listen to? The one that when, hey, it downloads, you ignore all the other ones and you go to that one first. I would love to, keyword here, hear about it. Now, I realize some people are going out to the website and they're writing those. That's why I say it right here. If you're not recording it and sending it to me, again, you just dave@schoolofpodcasting.com or going out to schoolofpodcasting.com/contact and using the little button there that'll lead you over to speakpipe.com/podcastcoach and recording it. It's not going to be in the show. And I want it to be in the show because I also want you to talk about your show and where we can find it. So here's the homework assignment. What is your favorite podcast? What is it about? Where can we find it? And then why is it your favorite show? Then tell us about your show, the name of it, and where we can find it, and what it's about. That's the assignment. Now, the other thing that we're going to do with these is I'm going to put them on schoolofpodcasting.fm. That's my streaming podcasting tips channel. So that's why I want these. That's another thing that I thought about today. I'm like, these are really good because I've had some people send theirs in. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm hearing about all sorts of different podcasts that I'd never, ever heard of. And that's why I'm doing this, because there are so many great podcasts out there that just don't get the love. And the best form of advertising is word of mouth. So I'm giving you an open mic here to tell me, what is your favorite podcast? Where is it? What's it about? And why is it your favorite podcast? While you're at it, tell me about your podcast, if you have one, and what it's about, where I can find that. So that's your homework assignment. If, these, I'm going to cut these off on, when am I going to cut these off? I guess you could always send them in because I always put them on schoolofpodcasting.fm. But let's see, the last Monday is the 23rd. No, the 30th is, that'll be cool. We'll kick off the end of 2013. So the 30th, that episode will be all about everybody's favorite podcast. So I would love to hear them. Get them in before then because I'm going to be doing a lot of editing, things like that. So that's your homework assignment. Hop to it. And I look forward to hearing about your podcast in addition to your favorite podcast.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
All right, if you like that jingle, I've had a couple of people say, where'd you get that from? That is my good friends over at Music Radio Creative. They have all sorts of different jingles, and you can have your own custom jingle made. Check it out. Go over to schoolofpodcasting.com/MRC. And I think that is going to do it for this episode of the School of Podcasting's Morning Announcements. Kind of a short show. Probably most of the shows here in December of 2013 are going to be a little on the short side. Short side? It's the short side of podcasting because we've got a lot of things going on. And I do deeply appreciate you tuning in. I do want to let you know that if you want to, we're doing another group coaching class. And you can find that over at howtopodcast.com. That is howtopodcast.com. We meet every Saturday from noon to 2 Eastern Standard Time. Now, if that doesn't work for you, if you're in another part of the world, you can get the recordings. You don't have to be present to get the recordings. They are downloadable. And that starts January 18th. Go over to howtopodcast.com. Now, if you want to do it on a more self-paced kind of version, go over to schoolofpodcasting.com, click on the Join Now button in the upper right-hand corner, and use the coupon code LISTENER. That's LISTENER, lowercase, listener, in the coupon box, and you will get a discount off your first month. It's my way of saying thank you, and I hope you're having a just splendid holiday season. I know here in Ohio, we're getting buried in snow, and it's pretty until you have to shovel it. So for my friend Ray Ortega, who's, it's getting all the way down to 40 in California, I hate you. No, I don't. And I look forward to seeing, I look forward to seeing everybody at New Media Expo. If you're going, definitely let me know. I'm working on a meetup. I keep saying that. I'm working on some sort of way where we can all meet up someplace. And I look forward to shaking everybody's hand. Again, if you're going to that, go to schoolofpodcasting.com/NMX. But the one thing I would like you to do today, if you're not going to sign up for the School of Podcasting, do me a favor. This isn't going to cost you a dime. Schoolofpodcasting.com/iTunes. That'll take you over to iTunes. You can click into there and actually go into the iTunes software. If you could, do me a favor, write me a review. If it's positive, that's great. I deeply appreciate it. And if it's negative, okay, if you must. I'd actually rather hear negative things personally. Send me an email. I'm always open for constructive feedback. That's actually one of the things where next week is the last week of the current Start Podcasting in 6 Weeks class. And part of that class is just, hey, how can I make this better? So I'm always interested in that. So thank you so much. And I always kind of jokingly say Happy Kwanzaa Masaka. I think that covers all of the different versions of the holidays in December. And I want to remind you to start living a life worth podcasting about, because I know you have something to say, and I'm here to help you say it. So thank you so much. Until next week, I hope to see you on the inside. Class is dismissed, and God bless.